Well, that's good timing. What's up out there? Welcome back to some more Melvor Idle, and today we're going to take another look at the Cursed Forest. This is going to be a redemption video or a redo or a redux, whatever you want to call it. I just happen to get the pet out of there too. So in the original video that I made for this dungeon, I made the very serious mistake of using the gear from this dungeon to tell you how to idle this dungeon, which is a total disservice. I didn't really notice it until I put the video out and somebody started commenting on it. I'm like, oh crap, that sucks. So I am now at that point with my current hardcore character, and I thought, all right, this is a good time to just redo this. I set this up last night, and it's ran all night. Everything's cool. Haven't died yet. So this is a good setup as far as I'm concerned. There are some tweaks that I can make to it. I'm going to show you where we're at with things and what can be changed. But basically, if I kick myself out of the way here, this is all the creatures in here have protection of the forest. They're immune to melee, ranged, and curses. So you're basically funneled into magic. You can't use anything else. Other combat styles could potentially do something in here, but you're not going to be doing direct damage to the creature. You need to use, you would get like if you had arrows that set them on fire or something like that, they would light on fire, but you would not get the benefit of the ranged damage. And a lot of these creatures are magic, so it kind of puts you at a disadvantage to a certain point. But magic is the way to go, because you can not only damage them with magic, but you can put all kind of little spell extras on there: fire, poison, frostburn, all that kind of stuff. So let's take a look at this. What I have is a build based around Nature's Bloom. I checked out Poison Pods. I switched over to this one for a couple of reasons. Number one, this doesn't use Calamity runes, and I'm using the Calamity wand, so I can reduce the rune cost of that. It offsets it a little bit. Number two, Nature's Bloom uses or gives you a little bit of health back when you attack. So you use less food. Maybe you stay out of the danger zone a little bit better. I'm not sure. So I did try some of these other spells with the gear that corresponds to them. Like you go in here with the infernal gear or the lightning gear. The spells themselves didn't really seem to do a whole lot. And I think this is the spell that I used in the original video also, was Nature's Bloom. This thing throws like a deadly cocktail of stuff on them. And with the combination of gear that I have, they will get frostburn, fire, poison, and there's some sleep in here. There's a lot of things they're going to get out of this that will affect them. So it basically just helps out along the way, just does a little bit more. Now, there's a lot of things you can change about this, but let's dive in. So first and foremost, I have damage reduction tier 4s. I am not wanting to lose my hardcore character, so I have that on. I also am running Holy Aegis and Battleborn for prayers. I would normally run Battleborn and Divination, but I think I want to have, this has a faster attack interval, and it gives the enemy a little bit of a debuff on their damage reduction. So I'd rather use this than Divination. Now my accuracy is horrible, so that's definitely not great. But I also want to have the extra damage reduction on here. So I'm running Poison Mythical gear for the hat, the bottoms, and the boots. And then I'm still rocking the Burning Madness set from way back in the base game. These do chance for fire, and they ignore slow effects, chance to ignore frostburn, burn, blah, blah, blah. There's none of that really in here, but there's not really anything else to put on here as far as I'm concerned, so I still rock these. And then I'm doing the Leviathan shield. You could easily swap in the Divine shield if you don't have this. I took the time to grind out 3 of these, so I have one for each of my combat styles. And then I'm running the Freezing Touch body. The Freezing Touch body, well, first and foremost, these two, the Burning Madness gloves and ring, are base game. You should already have these by now. So the Leviathan shield comes from the Slayer area, the Foggy Lake, Twin Sea Dragon, Serpent, and you just grind the Leviathan. My bad. It comes from the Leviathan, and they're kind of a slow drop. You're going to kill a lot of these things, and a lot to get one, much less 3. But those come from the Leviathans, so aptly named the Leviathan shield. So those aren't too bad to get. They just take a while. So if you grind that out, you'll have this shield. The poison mythical stuff comes from rune crafting. Just make sure you have high enough rune crafting. You should already have the Fury of the Elemental Zodiacs by now. I don't really ever take this off once I get it. In my opinion, there's not really anything better to equip in the next slot for the most part, unless you're fighting like really low tier stuff and you want to mix things up. This is this is 3% damage reduction. There's not much else. The reason I'm not going with the full poison mythical set, I would gain a little bit more accuracy with this, but I like the idea of the Frostburn. And this is also 12% damage reduction instead of the Freezing Touch body is 12% damage reduction with a chance to apply Frostburn, where the Poison Mythical is just 11% damage reduction. I would gain a 15% more attack accuracy, or 15% more magical accuracy, but my chance to hit's so low anyway, it's not going to really improve it a whole lot. I would rather hit him with the Frostburn and let him just melt. So that's what I've got that set up for. And then the Calamity Wand, it's the best wand you can get. There's not much else outside of that that's going to be better. So I'm also running my Cape of Completion because I've gone through the effort to get that. You would probably run the Infernal Cape. It's plus 4% damage reduction if memory serves. This one gives me all the benefits of all the other stuff, so I rock this because I have it. I could use the Superior Max Skill Cape, but then I would lose 5% damage reduction. So I would gain some other bonuses. I would just lose some damage reduction that I don't want to lose. So like I said, I kind of keep this on the high side. Now, if you were with standard or adventure mode, you could probably push the limits of this a little bit. I don't want to push anywhere close to the edge on my hardcore character because I don't want to die at this point. But with standard or adventure, you could certainly push out and get rid of probably the Holy Aegis, maybe change that out for divination or something. I'm not going to experiment with it because I don't really want to mess with the balance of this I've got going. But there are some other options. Like you could change out your ring if you wanted. I'm trying to go for as much fire and all the extra little goodies that get dropped on here I'm going for. I'm using this combination right here between the Witch and the Siren for a synergy. This gives a chance to apply sleep when you're hitting. So if I like to balance, I like to have the sleep with the stun. So if you're going to do any stun, they will gain some immunity to that. If you follow it up with sleep, then sleep will knock them out, even if they have that stun immunity. So I like to do that. This could be the dragon. This could be the spider one. I would run the spider one because it synergizes with poison, or it does some poison effect to it. The problem is I don't have that unlocked with my synergy. I need to run the spider tablet more and get that set up because I just don't have I don't have that synergy unlocked yet. I've got a long way to go with this one. So I would try this one out because it does additional poison damage, but you could use like Lightning Spirit, the dragon. There's a lot of different variety you could do down here, just whatever you want. And there might be slightly better options. I might not have it all unlocked just yet, so that's why I'm where I'm at. Now for the passive entry, there's a lot of options here. You can basically do whatever you want. If you're struggling with damage reduction here, on the end boss, you could easily equip, Oh, I should point out that I am all 120 with all my gear, or all my stats are at 120. All my levels are at 120. So if you're coming in here a little under leveled, you may need to take other things into account. Now with the end boss, you could use this Iridium Zephite necklace. It gives you plus 4% damage reduction when fighting a dungeon boss. That could be helpful. I was using this ring, this amulet. I was using this Iridium Runestone necklace for my passive. This is tripled if you're fighting a melee enemy. I tried this for a while. The problem is the last boss is magic, so it only applies, that amulet in the passive slot only applies to a very small number of creatures in here. So I wanted to expand what all was affected. And I was looking at the Frost Spark amulet, and the Frost Spark amulet comes from a combination of items from the Lightning region, which is before all this. So if you've ground out the lightning region, you'll have this. And it comes from the, is it the Tundra here with the Ice Hydras? So you get the Frost Shield amulet there. You combine those two amulets and you get the Frost Spark. Now the Frost Spark is typically a melee item, but if you look at the blue part on here, it says passive, so you can put it in your passive slot. It does 20% reflect damage and 10% chance to ignore stuns and freezes, and these things will try to stun or freeze you, I think. I don't think it's sleep. I think maybe not her, but there is some creatures in here. But also when you're slowed or frozen, plus 80 max hit points and plus 3% damage reduction. So there's some other stuff it does with the boots and the sword that match with it, but I don't care about that because that's melee stuff. I was trying this here. You could easily use the Gauntlets of Rage. These add a stack of Rage, which plus 2 max hit and minus 2 attack intervals, so it makes you go faster and hit harder. So you could easily use this instead. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, maybe I'll run it this way for a little bit. I just figured reflect damage and a little bit of extra damage reduction might not hurt. So there's a lot of things you could do here to set this up. I will point out that all of my astrology is completely maxed out. Everything's bought. So I have all those bonuses and my agility looks like this. Basically, obstacle 3 is pipe climb, 4 is coal stones, 5 is cliff balance, 6 is rocky waters, 7 is boulder trap, 8 is raft building, 9 is ice jump, 10 is ocean rafting. Now that would be your typical combat setup for the base agility skills. What you're going to find in what I have set for obstacle 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 is pretty much set up for I didn't think about this until afterwards. This is pretty much set up for Slayer areas. So there's Slayer negation in obstacle 11 and 14. So I'm basically set up for max negation. I do have obstacle 13 with rope trap set up for 8% damage to bosses. I don't know how I set that up. I don't know why I set that up, but I'm not sure. Probably didn't have anything else to do with it. And I thought, well, I'm getting into combat, so that'll be fine. Some of these other ones could probably be changed to something else that would be more beneficial. Like this one here, this freezing climb, I could probably do that because it's better evasion, more accuracy, and more damage to dungeon monsters. I don't have the palladium bars to set it, but I didn't catch this until later. I'm also running the 2 combat pillars, so we're good there. I'm mostly set up for dungeon combat. If I wanted to optimize this, I would go adjust those last tiers or last obstacles to be more in line with actual dungeon combat. But we're going to get through this, and then we're going to, maybe I need to look at that. I don't know. But I wanted to point it out that you can use the Slayer setup to come in here. You don't necessarily have to be maxed out all full agility to make this work. So that is basically how this is set up. I think this is a pretty decent setup. I let it run overnight and it seems okay. Now, once you start completing this dungeon, you will start unlocking things. You will get whatever's all in this chest. The Voodoo Trinket, the Ring of Curse Protection, the Mask of Madness, Despair, and Torment. The one thing that I would point out, and I don't know why these don't sort together. It's odd that this one gets over here and not with the other two. Each one of these masks is made for a different combat style. So if you click on this one and you look at it, this one has melee bonuses. So if you go to this one has range bonuses. If you go to this one here, this one has got the magic bonuses. It's also got additional damage reduction over the mask that or the headpiece that I'm wearing now. So if I equip this, I'm going to probably lose some accuracy, but it gives me a chance to avoid curses. And this is where I got into trouble with my original video. So if I put this thing on here, my damage reduction goes up a little bit, and my chance to avoid curses goes down. So that means that all these things try to curse you. And I think one of the other steps that I tried doing was, I don't know if I have it. I may not have it. I do have it. So this Ring of Curse Protection gives you a chance to avoid curse and plus 10 lifesteal if target is cursed. I think I was using that because I was getting like 40% chance to avoid curses. So you can use that, but just make sure you're not using it until after you've beaten the dungeon and actually collected it. So that was where I made my mistake before, because I had this Mask of Despair in use and I was using the Ring of Curse Protection. So that will do it for this video. Hopefully we have a little bit of a redo and fixed some of the things that I had wrong with the other video. But that will do it for this one. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.